Hello learners, hope you are enjoying your B.Ed course. I am Dr. Amit Kaur, Professor and Dean Faculty of Education, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. As we have already discussed about three levels of teaching, vis-a-vis memory, understanding and reflective level of teaching, now let's discuss about maxims of teaching. This is also one of the way to improve our teaching and learning. As every teacher wants to make maximum involvement and participation of the learner in the learning process, he sets the classroom in such a way so that it becomes attractive for them. He uses different methods, rules, principles, etc. in order to make his lesson effective and purposeful. He uses general rule or formula and applies it in particular example in order to make teaching learning process easy and up to the understanding level of the students. These settled principles, tenets, working rules or general truths through which teaching becomes interesting, easy and effective are called the maxims of teaching. Probably I'll say this is the gist of, maxims are gist of experiences of experienced teachers. As we already talked about the concepts of maxims of teaching, now let's discuss about different maxims of teaching. These are many and some of them are: when we proceed from known to unknown, it makes us effective. Proceeding from simple to complex makes it effective. Proceeding from concrete to abstract makes learning easy and effective. Proceeding from particular to general. Proceeding from definite to indefinite. Proceeding from empirical to rational. Proceeding from psychological to logical. Proceeding from whole to parts. Proceeding from analysis to synthesis. Proceeding from actual to representative. Proceeding from near to far. And proceeding from induction to deduction. There are a lot many more. We'll be discussing some of the maxims of teaching during this time. First of all, proceeding from known to unknown. This means while teaching a lesson, we should proceed from something that the student already know to those facts which they do not know. So we have to link what they know to what they do not know. This maxim is based on the assumption that student knows something. It is said that old knowledge serves as a hook on which the new one can be hung. Teacher should first try to acquaint himself with the entry behavior, previous experience, all that which is known by the pupil, and then proceed on his task of teaching new things by relating it or desiring some change from behavior from his pupil. Let me elaborate it with one example. When we are teaching profit and loss in arithmetic, it can be easily taught to the pupils by referring to shopkeepers who make profit. Similarly, a history lesson on Lord Ram may be taken up with the celebration of Ram Leela, which they already know. Second maxim is proceeding from simple to complex. This maxim states that the simple topics must be taught first and the complex one can follow later on. The teacher must see that the simple things are presented first to the students. The words simple and complex are seen from the point of view of the child and not from the point of view of the teacher. For example, in a lesson on nature study, for instance, a child will understand the concept of flower first and thereafter its various parts. In a geography lesson, the teacher will take up general study of a region or country first, later on the detailed and specific study. In a mathematics lesson, the teacher will first teach the concept of simple interest and then take up the topic of compound interest. So the next maxim is proceeding from concrete to abstract. Concrete things are solid things and they can be visualized, but abstract things are only imaginative things and are therefore difficult to understand. So it is rather difficult to teach the children about abstract things. The students are likely to forget them soon. On the other hand, if we teach the students with the help of concrete things, they'll never forget the subject matter. For example, a lesson in geography can be made interesting with the help of models, pictures and illustrations of bridges, rivers and mountains. The second example could be the stars and the moon and sun, etc. being concrete could be taught first, whereas the abstract thing like planets, satellites, etc. should be taught afterwards. When we teach counting to the students, we first examine concrete nouns like laptop, book, pen, etc., and then proceed to digits and numbers. Next maxim is proceeding from particular to general. The teacher should first of all take particular statements, and then on the basis of those particular cases, generalizations could be made. Before giving principles and rules, particular examples should be presented. In all the triangles, the sum of all angles are 360 degrees. This is a particular case, and thereafter once he does it, he show it with one triangle, another triangle, third triangle, then he can generalize sum of all angles in a triangle is 360 degrees. Next maxim is from definite to indefinite. In teaching, definite things should be taught first because the learner can easily have faith in them. Gradually, he should be given the knowledge of indefinite things. A good teaching should always lead from definite to indefinite. Definite rules of grammar may help a pupil to learn the concerned language effectively. Definiteness in a multiplication table may help a pupil to acquire knowledge concerning hundreds of odd combinations related to multiplication, division and square roots, etc. Next maxim is proceeding from empirical to rational. Empirical is something which is visible, and rational is something which is logical. The maxim states the empirical knowledge is based on observation and first-hand experience. On the other hand, rational is based on our arguments and explanation. Empirical is less general statement, whereas rational is more general statement. So safe approach in teaching is that we should proceed from empirical to rational. It is less mental maturity to more mental maturity. Plain geometry makes better sense when taught in the context of everyday life instead of highly abstract theory. Suppose that students are to be taught that water boils on heating, they should first be made to heat the water and see it boiling. Then the teacher should explain that when water is heated, the molecules get kinetic energy and there is thermal agitation of the molecules which make the water boil. Next principle is proceeding from psychological to logical. Here the teacher should first keep in mind the interests, aptitude, capacities, development level, etc. of the children during selection of subject matter, and then to its logical arrangement. Logical approach is concerned with the arrangement of subject matter. When we treat a subject logically, we are usually thinking of it from view of child. In psychological approach, we proceed from concrete to abstract, from simple to complex, and from known to unknown. In teaching English, the structures are selected as per needs and requirements of the students and then arranged in a logical way. In drawing, a child has little sense of lines and curves. Logically, we can start with simple lines and curves, but psychologically, we start with drawing a whole lesson. A teacher tells the story of a poem to students when they are not interested in reading. With this, a teacher proceeds from psychological to logical sequence. Now, if you see all different types of maxims, you will find that sometimes you will find them to be contradictory, but the idea is that what has been experienced by effective teachers has been drawn out as something which can be used by future teachers. The idea of taking maxims and levels of teaching, we have to take teaching very scientifically, but when we conceptualize teaching as an art, we have to see the experiences of people. Proceeding from analysis to synthesis is another maxim of teaching. Analysis means breaking a problem into its convenient parts, while synthesis means grouping of these separated parts into one completed whole. A complex problem can be made simple by dividing into units. Synthesis must be performed in the end in order to make the knowledge definite and fixed and give him a gestaltic view. Therefore, a good teaching should always begin with analysis and lead to synthesis. While teaching about digestive system of a frog, the student should be made to dissect a frog first, analyze each part of the digestive system and then study it by seeing the relationship of one part with another. Similarly, for knowing the composition of salt, it may be analyzed into its elements and then knowledge about composition and property of various elements or parts of a thing in totality could be understood. Next maxim is proceeding from actual to representative. For teaching excellently, actual objects should be shown to children as far as possible. It gives them concrete learning which is more desirable. The learners are able to retain it in their minds for quite a long time. Teachers can provide on-the-spot experience to the natural things like lake, desert, chattering birds, etc. Representative things in the form of picture, models, etc. should be used for the grown-ups or the seniors who are already familiar with the actual objects. Therefore, a good teacher should always lead his lessons from actual phenomena to the artificial representation. To learn something about Taj Mahal will be more vivid and rapid from an actual visit to the place than from a sketch or a model or a picture. The teacher should show elephant, the camel, the horse, the railway station, the post office, etc. And thereby he should make them understand about these things. To teach about Golden Temple, Amritsar, a teacher should try his best to visit the actual place, and that learning will be more vivid and pupils will retain it for a long time in spite of teaching through sketches, model or pictures. Lastly, proceeding from induction to deduction. This maxim includes almost all the maxims stated above. In the inductive approach, we start from particular examples and establish general rules through the active participation of the learners. In the deductive approach, we assume a definition, a general rule or formula and apply it to particular example. The farmers of India are very poor is a general statement in the deductive type of reasoning. The inductive will follow thus Ram is a farmer, he is very poor. Shyam is a farmer, he is very poor. Krishna is a farmer, he is very poor. In this way, from several such examples, it will be evident that farmers are poor. We find the crow is black, another crow is also black, still another crow is black. We then come to conclusion that all crows are black. In language teaching, before giving the definition of nouns, the students are acquainted with example of noun like man, chair, daily, etc. And then they are led to general definition of noun. So a good teacher always proceeds from induction and finishes at deduction. Learners, these were some maxims of teaching which are just experiences of great teachers, effective teachers. And as a teacher, I think we should always try to take some kind of insight from the experiences of great teachers. Memorizing facts is very important. You cannot go without it. Understanding is much better, but reflection should be our objective. Only with reflective level of teaching we can make our nation, we can make our academics very effective. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best.